Marketers are having to quickly adapt to marketing new products to new markets through new channels. And that's no more especially than in the world of finance or fintech marketing. It's a busy world out there with a constant torrent of new products coming onto the market. So just how does a new app get to market successfully? Well, who better to ask than the leader of the FinTech Marketing Association and the Chief Marketing Officer of Goldex, my friend Tom Newbould. Tom, great to see you again and welcome.
Hi, Malcolm, and thanks very much for having me again. It's great to be back.
Lovely to chat. Tom, before we dive deeper into tech marketing, tell us about Goldex, its app, and who's it for?
Well, Goldex is an award-winning, quite wonderful fintech business and app led by our CEO, Sylvia, which is transforming one of the oldest markets in the world, namely gold trading. So Goldex provides a free app which delivers what is the first global gold marketplace powered by what we call smart trading technology. So what this means is that anyone can easily invest in gold, in physical gold, and the app gets them the best price every time, whether they're buying or selling. So whether they're an experienced trader or brand new to gold trading, whether they've owned gold before or never have, it's an absolutely brilliant, innovative app for them. One of the things about us is that we don't own a single gram of gold ourselves. So, there's no conflict of interest with any of our customers. And our mission is simply to find them the best price at any one time. So you can invest £100 or £100,000 and still get the very best price. And
Wow.
Every bit of gold that's bought through Goldex is fully insured, securely stored, and is top investment grade. So one of the things that we've just been number one for recently is we're the very first gold trading platform in the whole world to integrate the retail gold investment principles, which is a new standard launched by the World Gold Council, which raises standards for product providers and gives investors more confidence in terms of where they buy their gold from. So, as you and your viewers might know, Malcolm, gold prices have soared this year. They've reached an all-time high and, seen an increase of 600% over the last 20 years. So, I think there's no better time to be involved in gold trading. And indeed, for Goldex, we've surged under lockdown. We've seen our trading volumes leap by over 2,000, nearly 3,000% in March 2020 compared to March 2019, and continuing that trajectory. So it's a great time to be involved in Goldex. And our technology, it's just as well to say, enables us to process 1,000 orders per second. So quite fantastic.
Yeah, I haven't got that many gold rings to steal off my wife, but that's fantastic. Yeah. And congratulations on that superb appointment. Now, I said in my opening piece that marketers face a torrent of new apps coming onto the market. Not all have unlimited marketing budgets. What's your advice on an essential strategic marketing plan to go to market professionally?
Well, Malcolm, regarding budgets, that's absolutely right. I think, in fact, Marketing Week very recently found that 44% of marketers expect their budgets to be reduced in the second half of 2020, quite understandably, and 10% have cut agencies out of their plans altogether, which obviously makes it much tougher for marketing servicing agencies as well. But I think, on a personal thought process around this is exactly the situation in which good marketers should thrive. In startups, of course, budgets are frequently small or even non-existent, which always takes me back to a bit of advice I was given early on in my career by my general manager boss at the time and mentor, who was a guy called Dean Feetham, who said to everyone, whichever department they're in the business, remember every pound counts and treat every pound of budget like it's your own money and spend it very carefully. And then another insanely clever colleague, a guy called Andy Biggs, who was the financial director, told me when I first started, always keep in mind the finance adage, the joke that CFOs and finance directors have, that we know that half of marketing works, we just don't know which half. And I think both pieces of advice are very relevant today. So in terms of building a marketing strategy, what every marketer should remember every time, no matter what they're thinking about, is to start with a commercial or business objective. So, what do we in marketing need to deliver for the business, for the CEO, for its owners and its shareholders? What format do they prefer the strategy to be in? Because different people prefer different styles of delivery. Some people prefer it to be very beautifully presented in a PowerPoint deck. Others prefer just numbers, a numbers-based strategy with some articulation around it. So seek out the numbers within the business plan as a starting point and look for the destination. Where do we need to get to? How many customers do we require? What's the optimum cost per acquisition? What do I need customers to do in the lifetime of our relationship with them? What resources do I need to deliver this and achieve these things? Whether that's agency or internal colleagues, which other functions in the business need to support me and are critical to this strategy. And then I think, make sure the strategy aligns like a hand in a glove to the vision of the CEO and your managing director, your CFO, even your line manager. Your strategy, like your budget, should be formed around these things and directly linked to them. And then secondly, use every available bit of market, category, customer information that you could find, and use that to help you identify what's happening in the market, what customers are looking for, which products or businesses are successful in your particular area, and find out how they're spending their marketing budget. There are tools and reports that enable us to do this. So both of these steps, the numbers and the research, are just as important as digging the foundations of a house properly. There are such an amazing number of free or very low budget tools which help us uncover this information. And then, I think this informs the business, everyone from the people in marketing, the developers, the product managers, to outline what we need from the marketing perspective to start identifying which channels work, which messages work, which creatives that we can put together would resonate with the customer. And then I think you've always got to regard that as a somewhat fluid situation and flexible. So test and learn, testing and learning on particular channels, particular campaigns, particular budget levels, particular messages is critically important. And then I would say, we always come back to the importance of investing in SEO. So it's not something that we see an immediate return on, but it's something that helps build the profile and the organic core of the business. And then just as a final point, I would say we've always got to be thinking, how can we track and measure our campaign? Because if any money has been spent in the business, we're going to be asked to justify what we've got from it. So don't overlook the importance of attribution, which campaigns and channels are working, how can we tell which channels are working in combination, what attribution model should we use, and how do we attribute the final mile? So can we link profit and revenue back to marketing campaigns? And this is all very important. I think a recent survey showed that only half of all marketers feel that they've achieved that final mile of attribution. So it's very, very important to put a lot of time into that.
Yeah. And that goes back to your original comment by your mentors. Half of it, I don't know how it's working, but you can now measure. You can do an ROI, can't you, on your marketing?
Yeah, exactly. And I think one of the things that sort of is always something I believe is that at least 20% of a marketing budget should be spent and invested into the brand and into longer term things. So, this thing that sometimes gets dismissed, brand recognition or brand campaigns, almost as a sort of, lower performance aspect of marketing, but actually they are critically important. If the rest of the 80% of the spend is working well and optimized, that should give comfortably 20% to invest into the brand.
Excellent. Yeah. I guess adoption by customers of an app in financial services doesn't happen quickly, or does it? Yes, you'll get your early adopters, but how do you get traction to get to the necessary volume?
Well, I think many businesses, particularly startups, sometimes require a slower start, prior. So in a period where the product or app has just been launched, sometimes it's a deliberately slow start, which is helpful to marketers because particularly in a test and learn strategy, we can try things, we can see how they work, we can change them. And then the businesses want incremental or fast scaling. So, what we've done in our marketing strategies included the correct foundational elements, and we make sure that they're in place. Notwithstanding that, I think any product launch or go-to-market activity should generate, as you say, a degree of initial interest and curiosity, hopefully some launch PR around that. And this can sometimes catch competitors out, if they're not aware of what we're doing, which is a very good thing. This is, I would say this almost as a quick win. And from that point, it gets much harder. So, again, going back to the category, customer and market research that we've undertaken, together with what we've learned from test and learn activities, we've already got a lot of useful information and data to help increase and continue customer acquisition and optimize our fledgling campaigns. I think, beyond that, it does require intense focus this period. It's very hard work. It's rather like riding a bicycle, and when you start and you get on the bicycle, you've got to put a lot of effort into getting moving. So I think in this acquisition period, what we're trying to do is find that right formula that we can then go on and build on and scale the business very confidently.
Excellent. Now, Goldex operates in a niche market within financial services. Yes, you're new and disruptive to that niche, but surely one of the challenges is marketing change to a traditional market. How do you go about it?
Well, I think the fact that we're disruptive, like any disruptive or new innovation, it brings both challenges and opportunities. So it's an opportunity for new adopters to enter gold trading with no barriers, as I said, using something that's free and easy to use. But on the other hand, experienced traders will have their own very established methods, their preferred tools that they use. So there might be a natural curiosity or some enthusiasm to take a look at something that's new, but ultimately we've got to convince them of the benefits of using us and the fact that we're such an easy and accessible platform. So we've got to convince them they can trust us as a business, as a trading partner, and also convince them that we're entirely secure, there's no catches, and finally we've got to convince them that we're a better solution than they currently use. So we do this through understanding what's most important to our prospective customers, and then highlighting very articulately how our product fits their needs like a hand in a glove again. So how we deliver this is through some very creative campaign concepts, making sure we've got the right campaign messaging and using the right media that's relevant to that audience and delivering it using the right channel at the right time. So it's about pinpointing and deeper understanding. And that's one of the elements of success.
Excellent. Yes. Now, I'd like to think that businesses like Goldex can achieve visibility through guesting on shows like this. What other digital media do you regard as both appropriate and successful for marketing a product like Goldex? After all, I don't see you or your CEO Sylvia doing a song and dance routine on TikTok as suitable to you.
Well, she seems to be very good at anything, so I'm sure she'd give it a try, Malcolm. But on a serious note, the starting point I think is to consider every channel, every digital media, every digital marketing option as potentially relevant, unless something in the information we've got or we've found out. So information, data, or specific conditions rule it out. So I think the other consideration is just because something hasn't worked elsewhere or previously, it doesn't mean that it won't work again in the future when it's balanced with the market conditions at that moment in time. So I would say each digital channel, as has its particular strengths and weaknesses, and we've got to unpick those and work out whether it's relevant or not relevant. So how do we do that? I think a test and learn approach helps deliver the right mix of channels that work, and we can start to scale those up and spend and invest more into them. I think what's great about the digital world, and Malcolm, you remember 20 years ago what it was like in the digital world, as I do.
I can't do that, Tom. I'm only 30.
Let me tell you then. Yeah. So we had a very limited set of tools then. Now we've got a host of free and low budget tools, everything from Google Analytics onwards. So this enables us to really explore all these channels at very low cost, and the majority of the digital channels can be turned on or off, which is another big benefit. I think on that same note, the majority of digital channels can be launched with very small budgets and even free credits in some cases. So we get certain platforms are giving free credits to enable customers to try them now, which is brilliant. Another benefit of digital is we can find out so much about what customers and competitors are doing, again through low budget and free tools, before we even start spending a single penny. So that's all brilliant. I think in respect of which channels are most relevant, I think, as I mentioned earlier, SEO is fundamental to any business over the long term. We can't ignore that. We've also got to look at how we can use AdWords for brand and generic search terms, and we can explore that very thoroughly. We can consider programmatic and digital display for acquisition and retention. Their effect on conversion, which is something we can look at. The social channels such as Facebook and Instagram from both a paid advertising and an organic perspective are also important. Ultimately, we need to be able to see how all of these channels interconnect before we grow, close or defend them. To optimize digital, I think, we need to use the best copy and creative. We need to understand how it can be and make sure it's the absolute best from a technical and a visual perspective.
Yeah. It really is fascinating, as you say. I'll admit I am older than 30. But the old days when you were advertising in a newspaper and you'd only get within that circulation area a contact or a hit, and it would be gone the next day because the newspaper's gone. We're finding we might be getting 10,000 plus viewers a month, but the impact then goes enormously, many more thousands than that across the world as somebody shares, and they may not be on your contact. Incredible. The show is called Top Gun for a reason. It's for those who don't want to be average in their sales or marketing. So how do you go about being beyond average, aiming for Top Gun at Goldex?
Well, I mentioned earlier this concept of features and benefits, features being the specification of the product and the benefits being how the product or service will improve the user's particular situation. I think the customer will have a minimum expectation, what they're expecting from something they're potentially buying, minimum expectation based around their experience of competitors and other products. So we need to show how we deliver way beyond this minimum expectation, including in user experience or UX, including in technology and the speed and the service elements. So if we're lucky as a business, we have an element that's, we've got differentiation or a unique aspect to our product, but then we need to also deliver what we might call added value. So we also need to be able to communicate these aspects through very clear, understandable messaging, the right language for the customer in terms of the words we use, and we've got to resonate these things. These things have to resonate and be understood by the customer in terms of what they're looking for. And then we've got to ensure that we advertise in the right places at the right time to reach those customers. So how we're doing that at Goldex is through being number one, we're the first gold trading app and marketplace, the first to adopt the World Gold Council's retail gold investment principles. And secondly, through the wealth of information we give to Goldex users for free through our Learn section, which includes, what we call our Gold Nuggets blog, our trade recommendations. And here's an exclusive for you, Malcolm. We've just launched our Goldex Gold Academy with a wealth of gold lessons, whether you're at beginner, intermediate or advanced level, completely free to anyone to access. And we see it as being a big part of how we can go beyond, that minimum level and give people added value and go beyond our initial product and play an impact in the wider, gold trading environment.
Congratulations on the Goldex Academy. I think that's superb, and it will bring a whole load of new investors into the market who have been perplexed about the whole subject in the past. Now, many would say the time is certainly right for our financial dealings to be completely digital based. Others point out to cyber risk. How do you go about in your market of firmly reassuring people of the safety and security of what you offer? After all, nearly everyone says we're secure, don't they?
Well, absolutely. I mean, we have the highest levels of encryption and cybersecurity technology that you would expect from a mobile app-based technical business. But beyond that, as I mentioned before, we're the first gold retail platform in the world. I'm very proud to be embracing the World Gold Council's 7 retail gold investment principles. And Section 3 and Section 5 of these are protection of client assets and compliance. And the way we have to demonstrate the way in which we have the very highest standards of asset protection and compliance with all regulations to, show how we adhere to them. So that I think all those things combined add up to give our customers the assurance they need to be able to trust us, to be able to give us their personal information and be reassured that it's all secure.
Tom, just before we move on to the last question, just to remind viewers that behind me on the screen is the URL to the Goldex app. It's the last question and it's your pitch time. You deserve it. You have 3 bullet points to convey to my viewers as to why they should become a Goldex user. What's your 3 bullet point pitch, Tom?
Okay, fantastic. The gold prices, I think, firstly, have continued to soar this year, as I mentioned, reaching an all-time high and an increase of over 600% over the last 20 years. So there's never been a better time to explore gold trading. As a second point, I would say the Goldex app is completely free to download and explore without even registering. So you can access all of our, pricing around the world and through periods of time. You can explore our articles and our news and our academy. So, you can even then go on and try gold trading from a very small amount. There's no minimum investment amount set. So, give it a try. And then finally, Goldex is completely neutral. We don't own any gold ourselves. So we deliver the best price for you at any time, whether you're buying or selling. And that's really the 3 bullet points I would use to explain why you should become a Goldex user.
Excellent, Tom. Tom Newbould, CMO of Goldex. Thanks for a truly informative interview.
A pleasure, Malcolm. Thanks very much again for having me.